Yeah, new one.
Just a
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
And just in pen?
Kevin, you all set?
It doesn't matter, as long as we get the name spelling right for the minutes, that's all we're looking for.
Are we all set here? Gentlemen?
So I can't put Angel
Yeah.
here, I have to put my real name.
Your real name. Thanks, Larry.
Order at 7:02.
7:03.
7:03.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is the United Congregational Church Germain Fund request.
We're back.
You're back.
Yes.
And I understand that you had a very nice meeting with Selectman Bean this morning, and he took a tour of the church.
Yes, we got to show him, although he had the privilege of seeing it with walls up, and it looks significantly improved over the way it looked before without walls up. So,
All right. You want to tell us about your meeting this morning?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, not only did I see the construction project, but I saw the hard-working visitor staff at work. So they were putting together the visitor, which we get every month, which I think is another wonderful quality of the church that a lot of townspeople appreciate. So it's nice seeing that being done. And again, as Candy said, the amount of work being done on this church is amazing, huge. It's a huge task, which I think many of the members here and members in the community have really got a grasp of. So I think what I want to say, because I've been sitting in the administrator's chair doing email and mail and phone calls, just to let folks that are watching and in the minutes, we've received a number of emails, some from the members of the church, some from the members of the community. Just yesterday, I believe it was, from a member, from a citizen of Minnesota whose dad was
Dean Lee.
Dean Lee. So it was
prominent citizen, lived up on Cricket Hill and was very involved in the life of the church and the financial life of the church.
Yeah, so that email was very heartfelt, and again, they were all very positive from the standpoint of hoping that the trustees would see fit to grant the request because of the wonderful work they do and how key this is to the citizens of Conway. So with that said, I feel that the other thing that I was interested from our last meeting was just a little more information about the finances, because we had received some information which was then subsequently told that it was a little outdated and not really appropriate. So I think some of the members of the community, we've had maybe one or two folks question the need for this. So with that in mind, I think if Candy wants to just go over a little bit of the finances and what the church has done, that would be great.
Sure. I just put together a very rough sketch of where we are now, and we are looking at approximate cost of $510,000 for completion of this project. And I broke it down with approximately $353,000 from our own funds, $100,000 from the CPA funds that the town generously granted us, optimistically hoping to include the $37,000 from the Germain funds to help us with the handicap accessibility. And topping it off with $20,000 in donations, which we're not there yet, but we are determined to get there. We've received $17,600 to date, and 80% from non-church members, so we've gotten a lot of support there. And just outlining, I know that the information you got was pre any of these expenses, so at the moment we do have approximately $660,000 of assets, $107,000 of which is restricted, so we cannot use that. And of that amount, approximately $200,000 still remains to be spent to meet the current expenses of which we're aware. And just the footnote that the church currently is expending between 30 and 40,000 of those funds annually to do operating budget, local mission projects, and we do local camperships for children too. So that's sort of our updated, in a nutshell, financial.
So the
picture.
rumor that there's a huge pile of money that you folks are sitting on is not quite
There was
the
a huge
picture.
pile that's gotten a lot smaller.
Yes, yes.
And right now, without that 30,000, we could not sustain operations. And so if we don't have interest coming in on at least a small piece of money, and if you do the math, that gets you down to about 200,000 or 300,000 maybe when we're all done, which if the market's good, that's great, and if
Yeah.
it isn't, that's about 5 years.
One other thing I'll mention is, in talking with some of the church members, not only is it a great asset for the town to have the building itself that you provide us, but also the work that your church members do, not only locally but internationally, is really exemplary. So to keep this church going is an important part of what I think Conway stands for.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do any of the church members have anything to contribute to the discussion?
No, I think Candy speaks well for all of us.
She put duct tape up over our mouth before we came in.
Okay. Okay.
Well, I had questions at first because I have grown up always, and it's true of the Congregational Church as well, and the UCC, being a very strong believer in separation of church and state. And I had to do some thinking about this. And I support this because of the position the church has in the community. There was one question I had as I was looking at those, and maybe I overlooked it in looking at the financial papers. And having been pastor of small churches before, generally about 60% of small churches' income goes to the pastor's salary. I didn't see that listed.
We didn't.
Listed on,
In the financial
that the
papers that you
that
sent.
well, we didn't send them, so,
Oh, whoever sent them.
yeah, the CPC apparently volunteered those. We didn't even know they were coming.
Oh,
So,
okay.
that's because I think what you didn't see, the pastor's salary, yes, I am paid. It's divided up between a housing allowance and they pay, I have chosen to have them pay my health insurance directly, so they pay that in lieu of a salary. So they are paying me,
Oh,
but they are paying it as, they are paying, I work for benefits, essentially.
okay.
So,
Yeah,
yes, I think your
I didn't
numbers are
understand.
accurate,
yeah.
percentage-wise.
In small churches, yeah, it usually is true.
Yes, that is still true, but it's just listed differently.
Yeah, I haven't done it in a long time, so.
I believe that she is the lowest paid pastor in Franklin County.
We have had that honor for a
Phil
while.
Phil Steinmetz said that was always true.
Yes, well, we're in keeping with that.
You didn't
tradition.
have the good fortune to know Phil Steinmetz.
No, I didn't. I know the
I
name.
did. I did,
I did.
Thought the world of the guy.
yes.
It is quite a man.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, I'd just like to read an outline of what the board has considered before we make a motion. The selectmen of the town of Conway are the trustees of the Mark Boyce Germain and Mildred Boyce Germain Trust Fund. The Board of Selectmen has considered the request of the United Congregational Church to allocate funds from the Mark Boyce Germain and Mildred Boyce Germain Trust Fund for accessibility improvements. The United Congregational Church is not only a house of worship, but also serves the residents of the town of Conway as a community center and hosts many events for the town. The board has considered that the Community Preservation Committee recognize the important role of the UCC building to the town of Conway, and the funds from the Community Preservation account were allocated to the UCC for historical preservation of the church building. The action of the Community Preservation Committee was confirmed by a vote of the residents of the town of Conway attending the annual town meeting on May 14, 2012. The board has considered the opinion of Town Council Jack Fitzgibbon on February 7, 2013 that indicated that funds from the Mark Boyce Germain and Mildred Boyce Germain Trust Fund could be used for accessibility improvements, and the amount to be expended is solely within the discretion of the Board of Selectmen. The board has considered the opinion of the Attorney General by Assistant Attorney General Johanna Soros on February 27, 2013, that indicated that the Attorney General's Office, Public Charities Division, confirmed that the town of Conway could expend funds from the Mark Boyce Germain and Mildred Boyce Germain Trust Fund to make accessibility improvements for individuals with disabilities. The board has considered recent communications from residents of the town of Conway that have been overwhelmingly in support of providing the UCC with funding for accessibility improvements. Those are the things that we've considered. And I'd like to make a motion that the Board of Selectmen vote to allocate funds up to a total of $37,000 from the Mark Boyce Germain and Mildred Boyce Germain Trust Fund to the UCC for qualified accessibility improvements, to include an access ramp and improvements to the restroom facilities, subject to the following conditions: that the funds for qualified accessibility improvements be allocated as bills for qualified accessibility improvements are presented to the Board of Selectmen; that before any accessibility improvements are allocated, an agreement must be executed by the officers of the United Congregational Church with the Board of Selectmen that any sale, transfer, or change in use of the church property would result in immediate repayment in full of the funds allocated from the Germain Trust Fund, plus interest at a rate which the Germain Fund grew during the period the funds were in the possession of the UCC.
You know that there is a lien for the town on the church with the CPA funds.
Yeah.
You're aware
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll make a motion that we vote on this matter.
I
My
would second.
motion's on the table.
Yeah, I would second that
Second.
motion.
In favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Any opposed? No.
Hey,
Okay.
congratulations.
Okay.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, I know it was a long process, but unfortunately, these wheels turn slowly.
That's all
but
right.
Thank you for your good work and,
Well, we understand long process.
right.
Yes.
We're in one ourselves.
And just give us the bills as you get them,
Okay.
and we'll.
And you
disperse
said
the
there's
funds.
something, we'll have to sign some kind of an agreement at some point.
I'll just have Jack send you something.
Okay.
It's just to make sure that, you know,
Or
after we
the
give you the
officers
funds, you
sign.
don't sell the church the next day to open up a
Right.
disco or something.
Well, if we do, the town would end up getting it anyway, so.
Yeah.
I know.
All right, well, thank you
Okay.
very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you all for coming.
Thanks, John.
Thanks for all of you to come out.
Thanks, Jim.
Yeah, thank you. Have a nice
Thank
evening.
you, Jim,
Yeah.
and thank you, Mr.
Thank you
Ray.
for your time, Rick.
Yeah, yeah.
You've got the meat of it all.
Thank you.
And nice to meet you.
You're right.
Happy New Year.
Thank you very much. The garden by the Masonic Hall. It's beautiful.
When you get settled, you should come.
The flower
Oh,
garden.
the girls, yeah.
Go around this way.
I like what they've done there.
I like
Thank you
it.
very much.
You're welcome.
Chris and I
You
have a
have me
little
mixed
bit
up.
with the
I
fence.
know, I'm confused.
Mulch
My
and
father had
stuff.
Alzheimer's, so every so often it kicks in.
I know you have
see.
the
It
concern,
just
and it
skips,
will be
you know, back and
addressed
forth, 'cause I
before
didn't
this is
call you.
over.
I
It's
know.
not in
Okay,
the
all
budget,
right.
No.
but it'll get done. That
I'm,
eavesdrop that bothers you,
Oh,
it will be.
well, every time I go by, I
Good work,
see.
keep up the good work.
It shouldn't be a difficult
It was never
thing,
in
and
there.
I don't know why they have.
Good
it.
work. No, Heather, it's on camera. We can't, Heather.
Thank you.
very much.
So
Heather,
now you
since
have
your
to
thing
find
was
another way to
covered.
fund it.
Yeah.
Check out my hair.
I worry that,
What about the-
did they fix underneath
We'll
there,
talk.
put with a new piece of support timber? Or did they just cover it up?
Are
Yeah,
you talking about the corner? Yeah, Mark Ladd came in.
And fixed
Cut out what was bad and put in a,
Oh,
because
good.
that is a main support column.
yeah, it
And he
is.
put in a new support,
Oh,
an
good.
insert, because you couldn't take the whole thing out anyways, you had to take out
Right,
this
had to
bad
take out a
material
piece.
and insert another piece.
Yeah, and I keep, what I said was,
I thought you
in
were
my
concerned about
mind,
the A spot.
no, in my mind, I looked at it and I said, you're just covering up a sore. If that board is all there is, because it's not fixed up there.
No.
Okay,
Well, we still
good.
gotta do with that, we've got a problem with the power company, because they put their They replaced the box even and still didn't set the wire aside so we could run the gutter all the way to the side of the church. So we
Yeah.
now gotta put a deflector
Right.
off the slate to the gutter to get the water not to run down into that corner.
Right,
Yeah.
Now remember, they'll probably edit it out, but we are on camera, so.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
so,
Oh,
Good work.
thank you very
Yeah.
much.
You're welcome.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Bill.
gentlemen.
Keep up the good work.
Yeah, I'd like to retire though.
I'm feeling the same way, believe me, we're in the same boat.
I've been at this since January of 12, and every day,
The end is in sight.
thank you.
Okay, let's get some signing done before our next appointment. All right, we have an application for,
I'll be right back, I'm just gonna pass this to them, just.
oh yeah, replacement federal funding accountability and Transparency Act compliance form. Do I have a motion to sign this?
So moved.
moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Second?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
yeah.
Aye.
Okay. There's enough signatures on this application.
That would be the epitome of bureaucracy working with FEMA. FEMA and MEMA are wonderful organizations, but the amount of paperwork that they make you do for their money is big. But we wouldn't say anything bad about them because they do pay for our emergency expenditures, and we're very grateful to them.
Sorry, I didn't get in here to do this. I'm trying to catch the fun stuff.
We also have an emergency management grant. You have a motion to sign this. This is an annual grant that we get about $2,000 from the Commonwealth. We have a motion to sign this.
So moved.
Second,
Seconded.
all in favor?
Aye. So the good news is that emergency management planning grant is from MEMA, not from FEMA MEMA, so there's half the paperwork because it's
Half the paperwork.
federal bureaucracy.
Good. Okay.
If we didn't have so much bureaucracy, there'd be more money.
Okay, in the mail, we got
I didn't say that.
an email from the House and Senate. They overrode the governor's local aid veto. Lawmakers restored $177,000 by unanimous vote.
Million.
Yeah, 177 million by unanimous vote. Okay, so that's good for us.
Yeah.
We've got a resignation from a member of the Finance Committee, James Cabral, effective immediately. Okay. Okay, his letter says, I, James Cabral, do hereby resign as a member of the Town of Conway Finance Committee. Okay.
Now, the good news is the Finance Committee, I think at their last meeting, did ask some member to step forward to chair it. And the good news is Tanya Campbell
Tanya.
stepped up and said that she would chair, and she's
Okay.
eminently qualified
Yeah.
for that position. So that's good, and I think I believe that position that James stepped out from might be a moderator appointment, so we'll have to see who might want to step up to take that position.
Mhm. Okay. Well, we'll put something on the website for that.
Yeah, that would be, I assume my replacement, the new town administrator, will be right on that.
Okay. And we'll ask Tanya if she has any suggestions.
Correct.
We also got a letter from Kimberly McPhee concerning the open space and recreation plan, indicating that it has been approved by the state. Has everybody seen this? Okay.
Yes.
Motion to file?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye. So again, I think at an earlier meeting, I did mention all the people that helped with that. Kimberly McPhee was the main
Yes.
writer, but we had
Yeah.
a huge committee, so kudos to them.
Hey, Jack.
Hi, Jack.
It's our Conservation Commission, guys.
Yay.
You ready to roll?
We got
You're in.
we got to wait a couple of minutes.
Oh, we do. I
Because
mean,
you're early. You're
yeah.
7 minutes early.
The old
we gotta
seven,
wait.
it's
We got to wait
the
for your
published,
time.
you know, in case the masses
we
want to come
understand.
and see you.
I believe that.
You know that. I mean, do I have to tell you guys that?
How are you fellas?
Good to see you, Bruton Strange.
Yes.
How are you?
Hey, now,
Good to see you.
All right.
Hello.
Bruton Strange? Yeah,
Yeah, I
I've
think so.
seen
Rick
you
Bean.
around
Yeah, you live
somewhere.
up in the north
I've
part
kept,
of town.
I've kept
Somewhere
your
up that way.
voicemail for posterity.
Uh-oh. Well, you recorded me? I thought that was illegal.
Oh, no, I just forwarded it.
I'll let you find out.
All right, understood.
We're on tape here, right?
We are, yeah. So we try to be amusing, yet not too funny, because that could certainly get you in a lot of trouble sometimes.
Liked it.
Oh, we've lost our sense of humor.
Yeah.
I know, that's unfortunate.
But
Yeah.
what we do
I-
is, in
I
these
have-
little pauses where we can't start it with our guests, we try to get some things done. We're just
So-
on a board, I'm sure you guys
Okay.
are the same. where
You go, we'll be
Sure,
quiet.
y'all keep on keeping on.
that
Has
card's sharing.
everybody seen the minutes for June 17, June 24, and July 15?
I did. And,
think I
Everybody
did.
reviewed
Yeah,
those?
actually, I sent these out, these June 17th and June 24th. I sent those by email mentioning that the meeting I missed, I thought you guys might have voted these in, but you didn't, so. to,
Oh, okay, we were waiting until you came back. Was that when it was?
So to officially accept
Okay.
these. So one I was absent, that's June 17th, so I won't be part of that, of course, and then
Mhm.
this one. And then the other one that's in need is the one that Jim did for us last meeting, 2 weeks
I
ago.
hope you guys corrected them.
And I've just got a couple of little tiny things that I can just pass to you. And then the fact that members present, others present have to be in the minutes. So, you know, you can keep these copies with the idea that, you know, this is why we have.
I didn't. Oh, I didn't put them at the top, but they were
Yeah.
here.
I'll
Do they
pass-
count?
I'll pass, oh yeah, I'll pass this back to you with the idea to just add
Okay.
this, and just correct these two guys. And I think, and they were great minutes, they were absolutely wonderful minutes.
Thanks. Did you see them?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Oh, right, you passed them on, yeah.
And so the only other thing I'll ask is if you can get it into a Word document, then it's easy to post digitally, but we'll talk about that after.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know how to do all that.
Yeah, we'll get you
Okay.
good.
So do we have a motion to accept the June 17 minutes?
So moved.
Okay, well, there's only two of us, so I'll second that, and all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The June 24th minutes, we have a motion to accept those minutes.
So moved.
All in
Seconded.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. And we'll accept the July 15th minutes as
As-
amended.
As amended.
Okay, do we have a motion?
So moved.
All right,
Seconded.
All right,
Right.
all in favor?
Aye,
Okay, we're done with that.
so you hold on to that. stuff.
Okay.
You sent this to us certified mail?
You have to, because you didn't come to the meeting. We either have to hand it to you in person or send it certified mail.
Oh.
So I
Okay.
did, and I got the green card back. Thank you, my file's
I gave it to
complete.
you,
Okay.
I got it and gave it to you.
Yeah. And I picked it up on Saturday, maybe?
I believe you did.
And so, so that's done.
Okay,
Not the work, but the permit from our end is done, signed off on. Theoretically, you're supposed, did I do a cover letter?
You did a
It said,
cover letter.
please record it, and,
Okay, now,
So that's our
it looks
question.
like this form, this WPA Form 5, gets filled out when it's recorded.
right, and then you send that back to us.
Right, okay. All right, so
That's the rec field,
Oh,
NOI.
so we have to get this recorded.
Right.
Okay.
The applicant needs to record the order of conditions, fill out the book and page that it's recorded on and the date on the form that you just referred to, send us back that form for our file.
And the applicant is Parks and Rec?
No, the applicant is the
Is the
town.
town.
Yep,
Okay.
represented
Now,
by
what
Mr.
is,
O'Rourke.
I don't think I've read it.
That's the notice of intent that was filed by the town to do, well, you went to the public hearing.
Over,
At the
I did.
COMCOM public hearing, it was to do the improvements, the engineers were there and presented everything, to do the various renovations that are soup to nuts over there. And went through and we've approved it.
to do it.
There's two things, Jim. One is, does it comply with the wetlands statute? And that's all the Conservation Commission does. We don't make judgment as to whether the proposal is favorable to us or not, meaning do we think there should be sidewalks on the ball field or no sidewalks. That's the Parks and Recreation people and the town people ultimately that have to vote on the funding. All we did is look at the issue is, did the plans as submitted, and they were submitted and then revised. They were downward revised quite a bit from the initial.
Since that meeting.
No,
since the DEP oversight.
the DEP oversight, and when they filed it with us, they didn't have enough, they have to, for every place that they're further degrading the riverfront area, they have to have an offset of improvement of the riverside area, except that you can do up to 5,000 feet or 10%, whichever's greater. In order to stay within the 10% number, the original plans were degrading too much of the land and not improving enough of the land, so they weren't making the 10%. So they revised their plans, took out, for example, there was a walkway that went all the way around the field, right by the river, that was intended to be a paved sidewalk. That got eliminated, so that was taking away square footage of degrading.
Right.
In addition, the basketball court and the tennis court, if you look at the plans, are being combined, sort of the one court type of thing. And they're moving the swing set to where the basketball court is. That's okay. They're taking out the basketball court, combining it with tennis court, and they're moving that. And they moved it further away from the river, so most of it is outside of the 200 feet.
However,
And that then got them within the 10% limit that they can further degrade, if you will.
Okay.
Okay.
So what that form does is the order of conditions primarily, which is the rules that we tacked on,
Mhm.
you know, in addition to what the DEP might say.
Right.
So it's the process that has to be followed if and when construction is ever approved by the town voters to do the project,
Okay.
which is the second issue. All we've done is signed off on the engineering plans, and the plans that have been submitted to us comply, we believed, with the wetlands statutes and regulations.
question. So nothing is going to be done,
On that, on the wetlands thing?
yeah,
Uh-huh.
until at a town meeting where everybody discusses it. And
Yeah,
votes on it.
the Conservation Commission doesn't have authority to approve the projects. We just, any project, we only look at the statute, the wetland statute, and the regulations that are promulgated as part of the wetland statute, and sign off on that, whether it's doable financially, doable politically, doable because the town doesn't want it or does want it. those are town meeting issues, or select board issues for financial kind of things and such, not, we have just a small piece of that puzzle.
This will definitely be a big town issue, and the hope is that the Parks and Rec folks who have spurred this on for more than a year now will get a grant, possibly up to $1 million. So again, it's contingent. I mean, these folks are, again, just overseeing that if you do this, make sure you do this.
It has to be done in compliance with the plans and sequentially as the plans outline it. For example, just explain it, the mitigation, the improvement to the riverfront area has to be done concurrently or in advance of the degradation. You can't go degrade it and then never get around to,
Okay.
so, because then you would really not have complied with the wetland statute. So the mitigation, the improvement to the resource area, which in this case is, there's two areas there. There's riverfront for 200 feet away from the river, and then there's, believe it or not, a wetland at the toe of the field when you come down the driveway and go to the right behind the
Town office.
the little town shack.
Where they want to put the
you know, where
tennis
they,
court and
Exactly.
they're moving the tennis court closer to the wetland and further away from the river. But you can be, so when you go to the wetland, the resource area, you're not prohibited from working in 200 feet. There's a buffer zone of 100 feet from the wetland,
Right.
and you can work in the buffer zone provided you show that what you're doing is not degrading the wetland. And so by moving it there, and by what's degrading the wetland as part of the initial construction is the parking lot renovation for the top of the hill, because there's a big retaining wall proposed for this project there. And so they're cutting off in order to make the driveway access more on a T to Route 116. They're cutting off part of the wetland. They're taking that cutoff part and they're ballooning it out, they're replicating it further up where the shed is. So the shed will be moved, but yes, you can get closer to the wetland. We tried to balance all of the competing figures, competing elements, and it's not always easy.
no, it isn't easy.
So anyways, your question and why we wanted to come is this budgetary question. We went back and Joyce, do I have that right?
Joyce.
Yeah, Joyce sent this today to Bruton, who sent it to me.
That's actually what I gave you for your meeting, the one you had in your hand.
Yeah, last week.
Okay, this line, this has been, I've only been on the commission, so you have to bear with me for a very short period of time. The budget I was given, and then one budget that I submitted, my first one last town meeting, has these 171 accounts. Okay, that's the only accounts I knew about, and we submitted and we voted as a commission. This open space account apparently is voted.
That's a warrant article from 2 years ago.
Okay,
Or
so
4 years
it's
ago.
never been part of, since I've been on the commission voting in any way. I realize that we don't tend to spend our budget. We are pretty volunteer. The biggest expense we have is the publication, which is then filled in by people paying for it.
Right.
So we, to the extent that people have gone to seminars and stuff, they've footed their own bills and gone on their own time. And so I realize that our budget turns over, and I understand the concept, if it's not expended, it goes into free cash and all of that. But, so the question we had, and I'm speaking for the commission now, I've learned really quickly that I don't speak for myself, and I don't speak unless I brought it up at a commission's meeting. Said, well, look, the only thing we had relative to this open space plan was this document, which was May 8, 2012. It was a authorization for Tom Spiro at that point, Victor Trombley signed as the select board member, and we signed as Concom members. But the only thing was an application to apply for a grant. So we assigned, we said we had no objection to, and voted on to sign this form back in, I wasn't the chairman back then, but I did sign it. But that's what we did, and that's the only document we have relative to this project. Don't know what happened with the grant. Don't know what happened in terms of getting a contract with COG for the actual development of the document. Understand that there must be a contract someplace that somebody signed.
We did.
That would be we, the select board.
Yeah.
And did
You want
we
me
get that?
You want me to jump in, or?
Well, did we get the, I never saw the, not I, the commission never saw
Yeah.
the contract and don't even know what it was for, how much it was for.
Yeah. So I'll just give a little history. So I may not have the dates quite right, but basically every town has an open space and recreation plan mandated by the state.
Yeah, I
And so
understood.
normally, as all other towns in our town, you get together a volunteer committee to work on that plan. And Bruton was a member of the committee. So we brought in people from the Conservation Commission representative, Tammy Borton was on that.
Parks and Rec,
Parks and
and
Rec.
Diane was there, the planning
So-
board, right, and
And basically that committee was brought together because the town is mandated to do this every 5 years. The last one that was done, I think, was in 2005. That was done by another committee in town. And so this time around, and that one I believe was done by the local school of Conway School of Design. So this time around, before I got on the board, the administration, probably back then it was Tom, and the select board at the time, decided that they would hire the FRCOG, Franklin Regional Council of Governments, who we use for many things. We use their expertise in all sorts of areas. This one was to hire them to help us write this open space and recreation plan, which is mandated and every town has to do it. So in order to pay for that at town meeting, I think it was, I don't have that right with me, but that was voted as a warrant article, say we will allocate, and this is a guesstimate, but I think it was 18,000, 16,000, somewhere in the, 13 to 16, somewhere there, to do this. And so as with every grant, you apply for the grant, which we did, we got the grant, and then we hired the FRCOG to do the work. And we got our committee together to assist Kimberly McPhee in doing this work. And it was a heck of a lot of work, and it's a big document. So the way the grant works is with many grants from the state or the federal government is you pay for it, and then we'll reimburse you. So as far as paying for it, from a year to a year and a half later, we guesstimated it would cost, let's use $13,000, and I don't have all the paperwork with me. And in the end, our final invoice was just a little over that. So that last piece of paper I gave you for your meeting, that wasn't meant that that's your budget. That just happened to be right below your budget. That's the remaining amount, $241 or whatever the heck it is, that we had in that warrant article. And so, not just in this case, but in other cases, when you go, well, wait a minute, we got a bill for $897.01, we only got $241 left, you go to your accountant, who is a highly paid FRCOG, also person who knows what you can do, what you can't do, works with the state and Terry Williams and all the higher up people in the organization saying, make sure you do everything right. And I went to her because I'm sitting in that desk saying, I got a bill, I don't have enough money. And I said, what's an appropriate place to go? It's all town money to pay the whatever I showed on your document. Right. And she said, well, let me look. And she said, the Concom. And not that it's necessarily like your bill, it's,
Well,
go ahead.
I understand that process,
Mhm.
and understand that we clearly as a commission support the plan, that concept as well.
Yeah.
But at least from my perspective, when I first got the request, I said, look, I'm only going to do this if I'm going to bring it to the commission,
Yes.
put it on an agenda, and we take a vote.
That's why I gave
And
you
so
that.
now we have more information. So the first thing that my logical mind tells me, or maybe illogical mind, I don't know,
Yeah.
is that do we have a contract with COG for the plan, for doing the plan?
Yes.
What was the contract? Was it a fixed price? Was it an hourly
No,
rate?
It was an estimated amount for phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and they went a little over.
So,
It wasn't a solid contract.
if we're asked to take money out of part of our budget, our commission felt we should have a copy of the contract, so that we can look at the contract. We should have a copy of all the bills. That we just didn't have anything to back up other than a request to transfer money out of our accounts that were allotted for something. Understand that the accountant is apparently saying it's okay if we vote it to take it out of the Concom account and put it into a different line item. And I rely on technical people. I have no idea if that's okay or not.
That's who we rely on. That's
Right.
who we pay
And I understand
what
it.
to do.
But we felt we should still see what the contract said and how it became an over from what the contract was, what the grant was.
Sure.
In order to understand how we got from the beginning to the end, to have some meat on the bones before we took a vote on it.
Were you guys comfortable with the bill?
Absolutely.
Okay. You do? No, I know. I just-
We
I mean, you guys saw, you guys.
It's like, it's,
we got a grant of what, 15,000 back on that?
well, the way it works is they reimburse you, I think it's 80%. So we've submitted all the bills, and this is the final one, and it's like, you can't get reimbursed until you submit the bill, until you pay the bill. So again, in $13,000, and they're over by, it's not, yeah. And we're not even asking I got a little left, $241 in that one line item. So it was really just it's not a huge, it's, again,
It isn't at all about how huge or how small it is. It's a process. And,
Yeah.
and from my perspective, the process is that it's not my money, it's municipal money. And once it's municipal money, we follow the process. And if the process was $3,000, $300, or $300,000,
Yeah. So again, what would you like from us for more information?
the contract,
Yeah, I can get you that.
How much are we talking about here? $241?
$655.
And something that's gonna go to free cash anyway?
I understand.
Well, we weren't included into all the information that you had, John, so I think
Okay.
that's, we didn't understand what the contract situation is, why they went over, because that was part of that too, and I wasn't quite aware, so there were just a lot of
Yeah.
unanswered questions, and that's why we
Yeah.
came here, and I feel like you guys are answering them as we're going.
Again, I'm checking with our financial advisor, accountant, who's very adept at this. So I don't have a problem. I can get you the contract.
but you need,
get it to you.
what Joyce is saying is that the commission has to vote to approve transferring money from our account to this other account. That's what you're asking us to do,
Yes.
so that you can then appropriate it out of this other account.
Yeah.
And so, I understand it's a small
Okay.
amount.
Rick, you work it out with Jack and make Jack happy, and then this thing will be
So
resolved.
just to be clear, so a copy of the contract, I can get that easily. Is that?
Copy of the contract, copy of the billings.
I'll have to dig them out. Yeah, I can do that.
I mean, I want to
Yeah, I
dot the i's and cross the t's that the billings match their
Yeah,
their
I can dig
contract.
those out. No problem.
And I'm willing to rely on Joyce's authority for transfer. The commission is,
Yeah,
not me.
yeah. So when's your next meeting?
27th.
Yeah,
Of
I'll get
August.
it. I'll get it to you in the next couple of days.
Okay, you don't have to rush that fast. Okay.
Well, I want to hurry up because I want to look good when the new guy shows up. I want all these things off
Too
his
late.
desk.
So I think that's what we're looking for.
Okay.
Is the,
So-
Yeah, there was just a couple little things.
Okay.
Are there any other sticking points? You just want to see that contract? I
Okay.
just wanted to make sure you guys were
Contract and
cool
billing.
and we understood the billing process, and then
All
we'll
right,
just
so
get.
Jack and Rick, you work it out, and whatever Jack needs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good.
And if you need to talk to Joyce, by all means, talk to her
no, I mean,
directly.
you sent me the memo. I don't have any reason to
Okay.
disbelieve that
Yeah,
part. I
yeah.
just want to start with,
And
okay,
She asked her to send you an email today?
She did, no,
Great.
yeah, she just said basically what we all just hashed out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that she felt it was fine, and
Yeah. Cool. All right.
okay.
Okay. Gentlemen, thank you for coming in.
Thank you guys.
Hey,
Very much.
As much fun as we're having?
Oh, yeah. Jack, good seeing you.
Yeah, have a good evening.
Right, I know. Harassing you.
We're used to it. Come on, we're tough.
If you can't handle that,
I'm not.
Yeah, no. Hey, this is easy. Believe me, Jack. Don't worry about it.
He's the new administrator?
Yeah.
Did-
a couple weeks.
Yeah, he's not official. He's not official. We don't even know he's here,
Jack,
really. Yeah.
would you like a copy of this, that they've approved our plan? If you want to
We
just
know
copy
that.
that, and oh, you know that,
um,
that just came in.
oh, okay, no, I didn't get that, sure.
Would you like a copy
Oh,
of that
that's the
too?
state approval.
Yeah. Yeah, we
Oh,
just got that.
that's huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
And have we seen a hard copy of that?
No, it's online, but we haven't been, it's, that
I
fixed,
know
so,
it's massive.
yeah, we'll be getting it.
Cool. Because the Concom is really like
Cool.
Can we add $10 to the check and put the air conditioning on?
We don't,
Hey,
we don't,
we're
we
frugal
wanna-
here.
we
We're
wanna
like you
sweat
guys. We're
anybody
trying to
that
keep
comes
the
in here,
budget
Jack.
down. Come on.
Thank you.
See you
All
guys.
right, guys.
Thanks.
Okay. Next thing on the agenda, under new business, we've had this little go around with the recorder lately, and I'd just like to read a statement that I prepared because I had a meeting last Wednesday night with George Forgier, who's the managing editor of the recorder, and there's been some things leading up to that, and let me just read a statement on that. I made a statement that appeared in an article in the Recorder entitled, "Conway Select Board Chairman Refuses to Speak to the Newspaper," that the board no longer wanted to communicate with the Recorder. I made the statement because of articles that had appeared in the Recorder that were not portraying the Board of Selectmen in the correct light. This led to an editorial in the Recorder entitled "Silent Treatment" that criticized me for my statements for encouraging town employees and committee members not to speak to the Recorder. The editorial, among other comments, suggested that, in quotes, "We certainly want to get the facts straight, but helping us do that necessitates talking with us, especially if we get something wrong. More communication, not less, is in the best interest of the public, it seems." Close quotes. After reading that editorial, I was motivated, and the board was motivated, to invite the managing editor of the Recorder, George Forgier, to the meeting tonight, the board meeting. Mr. Forgier called me and indicated he would rather have a private meeting with me. We met on Wednesday evening, July 24, at his home in Conway. We discussed a variety of professional and personal issues. I enjoyed our meeting very much. I think we both came away from the meeting with a better understanding of one another and why the Recorder and the board have taken the positions they hold. The most important conclusion to come out of our meeting is that even though the Recorder and the Board of Selectmen may have different perspectives on the same issue, their overall goal is the same: to act in the best interest of the residents of Conway.
Very good.
Well said, John.
Yep.
I would make a motion that we file that with our minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I just want to sort of add on to that. So I think, I feel like I've had a rough time with the Recorder over the last many months, to the point where it really made me wonder why I was sitting here putting up with what I considered really inappropriate reporting. And I tried to weigh out the difference between getting the news out and selling papers and getting it right. And I think sometimes they do an exemplary job of getting the news out, and other times I feel that they're, especially some of the headlines, needing to sell papers. But again, from the standpoint of moving forward, I think it was a week ago, the issue where they had an article about our hire of our new town administrator, Tom Hutchinson. I thought was an excellent article, well written and factual, and that was done by Kathleen McKiernan. And then there was a sister article, I believe, right next to it about the two hires, and again, factual. And I believe in that same paper was a My Turn, which is, actually there were a number of My Turns in that particular edition, which is interesting, but one of them was by Sue Bridge, one of our Board of Health members and a Conway citizen who I thought did a wonderful job expressing the opinions of a number of people that she's talked with in town. And so, again, I felt like that was very good of the recorder to get that out immediately. She had sent it in, I think, only a day or two in front of that. Versus my letter to the editor, which I think was about 6 months ago, and I think it took about 4 weeks to get in. But I'm not complaining, I'm just saying that they're doing a great job. And the final thing is, I didn't see it at first, and somebody pointed out, there was a little section for corrections. And in there was a correction from the recorder staff saying that they had inappropriately said that the meeting to interview our two candidates for select board had been an inappropriately, I forget how they said it in the original article, but it was something about it was a closed meeting. And in fact, it was a posted and open meeting. Mm-hmm. And in the corrections, they made that distinction that they had got that wrong. So I congratulate them for making that right, and I agree with you that I think going forward, the recorder and we have the same agenda of doing good for Conway.
Well, you know, one of the things that I went to the meeting with George with was I didn't want to ambush him and talk about specific articles. I talked in generalities, and you know, I said to him, I don't envy your job of getting a paper out every day and getting everything right. And it's, you know, it's a very tough job. And, you know, once in a while, they miss something. And, you know, I told them that's, you know, everybody makes mistakes. Nobody's infallible. So, you know, I can accept those errors on their part, and as long as they're willing to accept the fact that they've made some errors. But again, we didn't talk about any specifics, any articles. I just talked in generalities, and I think, as I said, we got to understand one another better, and I think he knows that the board is doing everything it can to do things right and correctly all the time, and to follow the laws. And I think I got that point across, and as I say, I thought it was a very successful meeting. I enjoyed speaking with George, and it was good.
Good.
It was good.
Good.
I'm glad that happened.
Yeah.
Can we expect a Christmas card this year?
We'll see.
All right, we'll see. All right,
We'll see.
I'm not, yeah, I'm just saying, it would be nice.
Let's not push it too fast,
All
too
right,
far. Okay?
exactly.
Or too far, too fast.
All right.
Okay, concerns of the selectmen. Do you have any concerns?
Well, I'll let you go first, Jim.
Concerns offhand. I probably do. I just,
You want me to jump in
Right.
here and I'll
Yes,
give
go.
you some thoughts?
yes.
So let's see, back on July 18th, we got an email from Andrea Lamas, Conway citizen and administrator in Buckland, who let us know about a meeting coming up Tuesday, August 6th at 6:30 p.m. at the Buckland Town Hall. And that was called because of the controversy about the last mile in Buckland and Shelburne and others, including Conway, being left out of the push for the last mile. So I believe our Representative Kulik will be there, and they're hoping to RSVP. So I have gotten John's interest in going. I'll be going.
I want to go. I want to go to that too.
All right. So, and I think I'll give a call to Bob Armstrong, who's obviously a concern.
I'm sure Bob knows about
All right,
that.
so,
Yeah.
so I will
Yeah.
RSVP that the 3 select board members will be there. Great. The other thing is, I think it was last meeting, 2 weeks ago, I did pass out the draft of the management letter for our audit. So Rossellini Clark and Associates did 2 audits actually. They did a single audit and a year-end audit for June 30th, 2012, our prior fiscal year, because we just finished fiscal year 13. And I've gone through it, and it's just fine. Everything's in there that should be in there. Wondered if the two of you had a chance to review it. Not that we have to accept it or anything.
I think I read that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we don't have to. Okay, I just want to get your input a little bit if there's any interest in letting me know anything, and so we can let them know that our accountant has looked at it. She's
Yeah.
okayed it. Everybody's okayed it.
Yeah, I read it through. There's nothing in there.
Great.
that's-
I didn't see anything.
Yep, so we'll get that printed up and
Okay.
get those copies. And the last thing is, In kind of looking at our personnel policies, so it's taken a while, but we finally ended up over many months getting a new employee handbook, which Heather Rose, before she left the personnel committee, was very influential. And so through our working on that and paying attention to our employees in that regard, we have discovered that in many years past, the vacation and sick time that had been accrued by certain employees has been tracked not in the best way, so that it was more not an internal central tracking. So we're starting that process. We're finding that there are some large liabilities out there. So I would recommend that the new town administrator, when he comes in, along with our treasurer, accountant, and possibly one or two of the select board members, kind of look at this issue and come up with a strategy as to whether we should be thinking about paying off this liability immediately or holding it on the books. So I just want to make the board aware of that, and that we'll be working on that in the next 2 or 3 weeks, and hopefully get this set up to the satisfaction of the employees.
We should have the finance committee involved in that as well.
Yeah, we'll include the finance committee as well.
Mhm.
Great.
Sounds good.
All right, so yeah, those are just issues I want to bring before the board. And I think that's it for me. I love having this every other week schedule. This is good.
Yeah.
Gives us time to
Don't get used to it.
pile up things.
September comes too soon.
That's right. Jim, you have any?
One of our town citizens, while I was out working on the back roads over towards the Williamsburg side of town, said, "Why have we been ignored?" And I mentioned this to Rick, and it has to do with the economics of the thing, based on the number of people they can serve from this side and the few people they can serve from that side, and our Wired West or the
We're
whatever.
talking about Comcast?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yeah, that they just couldn't do everything. Financially,
Yeah,
it didn't
there's-
make sense.
yeah.
But he's not very happy, nor are the other people over there who are interested in it. So a neighbor of his, the value of, they were gonna sell, I guess, and the value of their home went down like $10,000 because they don't have access.
Mhm. Yeah.
So it was very upsetting to him.
Mhm.
I don't know that we have the authority to do anything about that.
We have a contract with Comcast that we signed, that's a 10-year contract.
It was
and,
signed 3 years ago.
Right.
You know, and
Before
we
you-
got,
And how
and
many
we got
people are on the committee?
we got 110 more homes passed by their system, which is more than any other town has gotten from them in Franklin County in a long time.
Mhm.
So we did everything we could to get as many homes covered as possible. The problem down in Williamsburg is there are large stretches where there are
Right.
no homes, and it's very costly to run cable. And, you know, I had suggested a while back that some people might want to contribute to running that cable. And maybe we could work out a deal with Comcast to do that. But I didn't get any takers on that. And essentially, that's going to have to be, you know, the way it is. If they want Comcast to go down there, past their houses. Because, you know, we got Comcast down from 25 homes density per mile to 15 homes density per mile, okay? And still, there are areas down in Williamsburg that you know, doesn't meet it.
Yeah.
And
Just can't
it's
make it,
just,
yeah.
you know, from an investment point of view, from a private firm like Comcast, there's just no way they're gonna lay cable without getting the return on that investment. And that's exactly the problem.
Mhm. Yeah, I told him it wasn't financially feasible that way,
Yeah.
but it is the other way.
Yep, the
Yes.
numbers are there. It's
Yeah.
all about the numbers, the number of
Yeah.
houses, how close they are. And that section added up, and that section,
Yeah, just didn't do it.
yeah. And not that there's hope around the corner, but again, this meeting on the 6th about the last mile, I was at a FERCog council meeting recently, And the representative from Buckland and Shelburne were very upset. That's partly why this meeting came about. And of course, the idea was, even though there's a $40 million bond being talked about by the state to get that last mile out there, and Wired West and Mass 123 and all that stuff, all of a sudden they were saying, well, we want to focus on the towns that have no internet access first, and then we'll get to Conway and Buckland, Shelburne, who at least have like 20%, 30%, maybe 50%. So that got those folks in the part of the 50% town that don't have it.
This last Comcast contract got us up to 80%.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Conway is?
Oh, yeah,
I didn't know we
when
were that
this,
high.
when this 110 homes is finished,
Right.
it'll be 80%.
Well, that's pretty impressive.
It is.
Unless you live in the section of Conway.
Where you can't get it.
In the 150 homes that won't be
Yeah,
passed.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, be careful out there.
I'm trying to become,
Drop that mail off and go.
yeah.
And, you know, I know I've spoken to people down at Williamsburg too, and I
Yeah.
totally sympathize with them.
Yeah, I do
It's,
too.
you know, it's a problem of investment. People are, you know, it's just not enough density.
Yep. But you will be getting Christmas cards from all the people in South Shropshire, Thompson, Shelburne Falls. They've added you to the list because you were on the initial broadband
Yes.
committee.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
prepared for the onslaught.
Yeah. Anything else? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Some